The bustling chaos of an airport terminal buzzed around Taylor Swift as she sipped her coffee in an attempt to recharge after a whirlwind tour. Her flight home to Nashville had been delayed, offering a rare pocket of stillness in her otherwise relentless schedule. She adjusted her sunglasses, grateful for the anonymity that large crowds provided. The world knew her as a global superstar, but here, in the sea of travelers, she was just another person waiting for her flight. Before we start, smash the like and subscribe buttons for more updates. As she scrolled through her phone, Taylor's attention was drawn to a commotion near the information desk. A little boy, no older than 6, stood sobbing, his tear-streaked face contorted in fear. He clutched a small, worn backpack that hung awkwardly on his tiny shoulders. People walked past, some sparing him a glance, but no one seemed to stop to help. Something tugged at Taylor's heart. Fame, schedules, and the demands of her career faded into the background as an instinct far deeper took over. Without hesitation, she put her coffee down and approached the boy. "Hey there, buddy," she said gently, crouching to meet him at eye level. "What's wrong?" The boy looked up, startled, his large brown eyes wide with terror. I can't find my mommy," he managed between sobs. Taylor offered a warm smile. "It's okay. We'll figure this out together. What's your name?" "Elliot," he whispered. "Well, Elliot, my name's Taylor," she said, extending her hand. "Can I help you find your mom?" The boy hesitated, then nodded, his tiny hand slipping into hers. Taylor straightened, her protective instincts kicking in as she led him to a quieter corner of the terminal. They found a bench where they could sit, and she began asking gentle questions to piece together what had happened. Elliot explained that he and his mother had been traveling to visit his grandparents. While waiting in the terminal, he had wandered off to look at the planes and had lost sight of her. Now, he had no idea where she was or even what gate they were supposed to be at. His voice quavered as he spoke, and Taylor's heart ached for him. She flagged down a passing security guard, explaining the situation and asking for assistance. While they waited for an announcement about Elliot's mother to be made, Taylor focused on calming him down. She pulled out her phone and showed him pictures of her cats, Meredith and Olivia, and even played a short clip of a new melody she'd been working on. Slowly, Elliot began to relax, his tears subsiding as he giggled at the antics of her pets. Meanwhile, the announcement about a lost child reverberated through the terminal. Several minutes passed, and then a woman's panicked voice cut through the din. "Elliot!" The boy's head snapped up, and he leapt off the bench. "Mommy!" Taylor stood back as Elliot ran into his mother's arms. The reunion was both heartwarming and heartbreaking. The woman clung to her son, her relief palpable. After a moment, she looked up, her tear-filled eyes meeting Taylor's. You stayed with him?" the woman asked, her voice trembling. Taylor nodded, brushing off the gratitude. "I couldn't just leave him. He's a great kid." Recognition flickered across the mother's face, and her eyes widened. "Wait, are you—" Taylor smiled sheepishly. "Yes, but that's not important. What matters is that Elliot is safe now." The mother's thanks were effusive, and Taylor waved them off with a humility that belied her superstar status. As the little family prepared to leave, Elliot turned back, his small face lit up with gratitude. "Thank you, Taylor," he said, his voice earnest. Taylor crouched again, meeting his eyes. "You're welcome, buddy. Stay close to your mom, okay?" What happened next was something no one could have anticipated. Taylor assumed the moment would end there. A private act of kindness, tucked away in the folds of her memory. But as the story began to spread, first through a few onlookers who had recognized her, then through social media, the world erupted with praise for her selflessness. Within hours, the airport incident was trending worldwide. News outlets picked up the story, and fans flooded social media with messages of admiration. Yet it wasn't the publicity that stunned everyone. It was what Taylor did next. Moved by the experience, Taylor decided to launch an initiative aimed at child safety in public places. Partnering with experts in family advocacy and security, she helped create a program called Stay Together. The initiative focused on equipping families with tools to prevent separations in crowded areas and ensuring that public spaces had better protocols for reuniting lost children with their guardians. Taylor's team worked tirelessly to develop materials, including child-friendly wristbands with QR codes that could store emergency contact information. She even used her platform to advocate for more visible signage in airports, shopping malls, and amusement parks. The program gained traction quickly, with airports around the country adopting the Stay Together guidelines. Taylor's involvement went far beyond lending her name to the cause. She personally funded the initial rollout of the program, ensuring that families in underserved communities could access the resources for free. She also used her songwriting talent to create a catchy, kid-friendly song about staying safe, which quickly became a staple in elementary schools. Elliot and his mother became unofficial ambassadors for the program, their story inspiring countless families to prioritize safety in crowded spaces. Taylor remained in touch with them, often sending Elliot small gifts or handwritten notes. For her, the experience wasn't just a fleeting moment. It was a turning point that reminded her of the power she wielded to make a difference. The world watched as the program flourished, and Taylor's actions became a symbol of genuine compassion in a landscape often dominated by superficial gestures. Her fans were proud, not just because of her musical achievements, but because of the heart she brought to everything she did. Years later, during one of her sold-out concerts, Taylor paused mid-show to share the story of Elliot. The audience listened intently as she recounted that fateful day in the airport and the incredible journey it had sparked. Toward the end of her story, she invited a now 10-year-old Elliot and his mother onto the stage. The crowd erupted into applause as the young boy shyly waved. His face lit up with excitement. Taylor knelt beside him, handing him a microphone. "Elliot, do you have anything you'd like to say?" The boy hesitated, then smiled. "Thank you for helping me, and thank you for helping other kids too." The stadium filled with cheers, and Taylor hugged him tightly. That night, as she sang her final song, the audience joined in, their voices rising in a powerful chorus. It wasn't just a concert, it was a celebration of the ripple effect one act of kindness could create. As Taylor Swift hugged Elliot on stage that night, a profound sense of fulfillment washed over her. Yet the story that had captivated millions and the initiative it inspired were only the beginning of something much larger. What had initially been a spontaneous moment of compassion had blossomed into a movement with far-reaching implications. Taylor's journey from that fateful day at the airport continued to evolve, weaving a narrative of advocacy, connection, and deeper purpose. In the weeks following her heartfelt airport experience, Taylor began to reflect on the countless untold stories of parents and children who faced similar moments of terror in crowded spaces. For every reunion like Elliot's, there were families who weren't as fortunate. This realization became the driving force behind her decision to broaden the scope of her efforts. Her Stay Together program gained international attention, and Taylor was inundated with letters and messages from people around the world. Some shared stories of their own experiences with lost children, while others thanked her for using her platform to shine a light on such an important issue. One letter in particular stood out to Taylor, a handwritten note from a single father in Brazil. He wrote about how he had lost his daughter at a carnival and spent agonizing hours searching for her, only to find her crying alone near a food stand. His story resonated deeply with Taylor, and she realized that this was a universal concern, not limited to any one country or culture. Determined to expand the reach of her initiative, Taylor decided to partner with international organizations that specialized in child welfare and public safety. Her team began collaborating with UNICEF and other global entities to adapt the Stay Together program for different regions. This included translating materials into multiple languages, creating culturally appropriate resources, and working with local governments to implement child safety protocols in public spaces. One of the most ambitious projects born from these collaborations was the Safe Haven Network, a global system of designated areas within airports, malls, and other high-traffic locations where lost children could seek help. These areas were staffed by trained professionals equipped to handle such situations, and they became a cornerstone of the initiative. Taylor personally funded the pilot program, which launched simultaneously in 5 major cities: New York, London, Tokyo, Sao Paulo, and Johannesburg. The success of the Safe Haven Network was immediate and undeniable. Within the first 6 months, hundreds of children were reunited with their families through the system. Stories began pouring in, of a young girl in Johannesburg who was safely returned to her father after wandering away in a crowded marketplace, or of a boy in Tokyo who had been separated from his family during a festival and was found thanks to the designated Safe Haven area. But Taylor didn't stop there. She recognized the importance of education in preventing such incidents and launched an extensive outreach campaign aimed at children and parents alike. This included a series of animated videos featuring lovable, relatable characters that taught kids about staying close to their guardians and what to do if they ever got lost. The videos were distributed to schools, aired on television, and made available online for free. Parents were provided with guides that emphasized proactive measures, like teaching their children to memorize key information and encouraging them to approach uniformed personnel if they needed help. To further amplify the message, Taylor used her music as a tool for advocacy. She released a single called "Hold My Hand," an upbeat anthemic track inspired by her experience with Elliot. The song carried a simple yet powerful message about connection, trust, and the importance of staying together. Its catchy chorus and heartfelt lyrics resonated with fans of all ages, and it quickly climbed the charts. Taylor announced that all proceeds from the song would go toward funding child safety initiatives worldwide. The impact of "Hold My Hand" was profound. Not only did it raise millions of dollars for the cause, but it also became an anthem for the movement. Children sang it in schools, parents hummed it while holding their kids' hands in crowded spaces, and it even became a staple at public safety events. The song's success further solidified Taylor's reputation as a trailblazer who wasn't afraid to use her voice for meaningful change. Amid all this, Taylor found herself deeply moved by the connections she was forming with the people her work was helping. She made it a point to visit the safe haven locations during her tours, often surprising staff and families who were using the services. On one such visit to Sao Paulo, she met a young girl named Mariana, who had been reunited with her mother through the program. The encounter left a lasting impression on Taylor, who later wrote a personal letter to Mariana, encouraging her to always be brave and kind. That letter, framed and displayed in Mariana's home, became a treasured keepsake for the family. Taylor's efforts didn't go unnoticed by the global community. She received numerous awards and accolades for her work, including a special commendation from the United Nations for her contributions to child safety. But what meant the most to her were the personal stories and gestures of gratitude from the families she had helped. Each letter, drawing, or photograph she received reinforced her commitment to the cause. As the movement continued to grow, Taylor began to reflect on the deeper implications of her journey. She realized that the initiative wasn't just about reuniting lost children with their families. It was about fostering a culture of compassion and awareness. It was a reminder that small, everyday actions could have a profound impact on others. This philosophy extended beyond her advocacy work and began to influence her personal life as well. Taylor became more intentional about finding moments of connection in her own relationships. Whether it was spending quality time with her family, supporting her friends, or simply engaging with fans on a deeper level, she often spoke about the importance of kindness and community during interviews and concerts, inspiring millions to follow her example. One particularly memorable moment came during an intimate Kwanda session with fans in Nashville. A young girl named Sophie stood up and shared how Taylor's story about Elliot had inspired her to start a safety club at her school. The club focused on teaching students how to stay safe in public places and support each other in times of need. Taylor was visibly moved by Sophie's initiative and invited her on stage to share more about the club. The encounter underscored the ripple effect of her actions and the power of individual contributions to a larger cause. As years passed, the Stay Together movement became a lasting legacy. Airports, malls, and public spaces around the world adopted the program's guidelines, and the Safe Haven network expanded to hundreds of cities. The initiative also sparked broader conversations about child safety and public responsibility, leading to policy changes and increased awareness. For Taylor, the experience remained a defining chapter of her life. It reminded her of the humanity that connected everyone, regardless of fame, status, or circumstance. It was a lesson she carried with her in everything she did, from her music to her philanthropy to her daily interactions with others. Elliot, the little boy who had sparked it all, grew up with a story that became a part of his identity. He often told friends and teachers about the time Taylor Swift had helped him find his mom, and he remained in touch with her through letters and occasional visits. As he grew older, he became an advocate for child safety himself, volunteering with local organizations and sharing his story to inspire others. One day, Years after that serendipitous encounter in the airport, Taylor received an invitation to Elliot's high school graduation. She cleared her schedule to attend, sitting quietly in the back as the young man who had once been a scared little boy walked across the stage to receive his diploma. After the ceremony, they shared an emotional reunion, and Taylor couldn't help but marvel at how far they had both come since that fateful day. Reflecting on her journey, Taylor often said that helping Elliot was one of the most meaningful things she had ever done. It was a reminder that even in a world filled with chaos and uncertainty, there were moments of profound connection waiting to be discovered. And as she stood on the stage that night, singing the final notes of Hold My Hand, she knew that the legacy of that moment and the movement it inspired would endure for generations to come. After Elliot's graduation, Taylor Swift walked away from the ceremony with a quiet smile, reflecting on the remarkable journey that had brought them both to this point. For all her achievements, Grammy Awards, sold-out stadiums, chart-topping records, this moment felt uniquely profound. But it also spurred a question that had lingered in her mind ever since that fateful day at the airport. What more could be done to protect children and support families in an ever-changing world? Taylor's involvement in child safety advocacy had started as a personal mission, but it had grown into a global movement. Now, she felt compelled to push even further. Inspired by the personal stories she'd encountered, she decided to tackle not only the immediate issues surrounding lost children, but also the broader challenges that contributed to family safety and well-being. Taylor began by convening a summit of experts from diverse fields: child psychologists, educators, urban planners, law enforcement officers, and technology innovators. She wanted to gather insights on how to build safer, more inclusive environments for children and families. Over 2 days of intense discussions, a wealth of ideas emerged, ranging from innovative technological solutions to systemic policy changes. One concept that particularly captured Taylor's imagination was the idea of integrating advanced technology into public spaces. A tech entrepreneur at the summit proposed creating an app that combined real-time crowd tracking with AI-powered alerts. Parents could input their children's information and receive immediate notifications if they wandered out of a predefined radius. Taylor saw the potential for this technology to revolutionize child safety, and she committed to funding its development. The app, named Safe Steps, was launched within a year. It included features such as geofencing, a digital ID for children, and a direct link to local authorities or safe haven locations. Taylor personally collaborated on the app's interface, ensuring it was user-friendly and visually appealing to families. Within weeks of its release, Safe Steps became one of the most downloaded family apps worldwide, praised for its simplicity and effectiveness. Taylor also worked to address systemic issues that put families at risk. She began advocating for affordable childcare, improved parental leave policies, and increased funding for community centers. Recognizing the intersectionality of these issues, she partnered with organizations that supported single parents, foster families, and low-income households. Her goal was to ensure that no family would have to face the struggles of parenting without adequate resources. As Taylor continued her advocacy work, she never lost sight of the unique platform her music provided. Inspired by the stories she encountered, she began writing a concept album that explored themes of family, community, and resilience. Titled Haven, the album was a departure from her usual style, blending orchestral arrangements with intimate acoustic melodies. Each song told a different story of a single mother's sacrifices, a child's unwavering trust in their parents, or the strength found in small acts of kindness. One standout track, Beacon of Light, became an instant anthem for families worldwide. Its lyrics spoke of hope in the face of uncertainty and the unbreakable bonds that connect us. The song resonated deeply, not only with parents but also with individuals who had experienced loss or disconnection. Fans began sharing their own stories on social media, using the hashtag #BeaconOfLight to celebrate moments of love and resilience in their lives. Taylor's accompanying music video for the song was equally powerful. It depicted a diverse array of families navigating challenges and finding joy in everyday moments. The video culminated in a heartwarming montage of real-life reunions, many of which were facilitated by the Safe Haven Network. The emotional impact of the video was undeniable, and it became one of the most watched music videos of the year. Buoyed by the success of her initiatives, Taylor decided to formalize her efforts by establishing the Haven Foundation, a non-profit organization dedicated to promoting family safety and well-being. The foundation's mission was threefold: to support immediate child safety efforts, to address systemic challenges affecting families, and to foster a culture of empathy and community. The Haven Foundation launched several groundbreaking programs. One initiative provided grants to schools for implementing child safety education and resources. Another focused on creating safe recreational spaces in underserved communities, ensuring that children had secure environments to play and grow. The foundation also established a scholarship fund for young people pursuing careers in child advocacy, social work, and public safety. Taylor's personal involvement in the foundation was unwavering. She attended board meetings, visited project sites, and regularly met with families who benefited from the programs. Her presence wasn't just symbolic. She was deeply engaged in every aspect of the foundation's work, from reviewing budgets to brainstorming new initiatives. In an effort to unite voices from around the world, Taylor spearheaded the organization of the Global Family Summit, an annual event that brought together policymakers, activists, and families to discuss innovative solutions for child safety and family support. The inaugural summit was held in New York City and attracted thousands of participants, including world leaders and celebrities. The event featured panel discussions, workshops, and keynote speeches, with Taylor herself delivering the opening address. Her speech was both personal and inspiring, recounting her journey from a chance encounter with Elliot to the global movement it had sparked. We all have a role to play in creating a world where every child feels safe and every family feels supported, she said, her voice filled with conviction. It starts with compassion, and it grows through action. The summit also showcased success stories from around the world. Delegates shared how the Safe Haven Network and Safe Steps app had made a difference in their communities, while families spoke about the transformative impact of the Haven Foundation's programs. The event concluded with a commitment from attendees to work collaboratively toward a safer, more inclusive future for all families. As Taylor's movement continued to gain momentum, she recognized the importance of inspiring younger generations to take up the cause. She began partnering with schools and youth organizations to encourage children and teenagers to become advocates for safety and empathy in their communities. One program, called Future Guardians, invited students to design their own safety campaigns and initiatives. The program provided mentorship and funding for the most promising ideas, fostering a sense of ownership and empowerment among participants. The initiative was a resounding success, with young people across the globe developing creative solutions to promote child safety. Taylor also began visiting schools, surprising students with impromptu talks and acoustic performances. During these visits, she emphasized the importance of looking out for one another and being active participants in creating safe spaces. Her authenticity and relatability made a lasting impression on the students, many of whom wrote letters and shared artwork inspired by her message. By the time Taylor's movement marked its 10th anniversary, the impact was staggering. The Safe Haven Network operated in over 500 cities. The Safe Steps app had been downloaded by millions, and the Haven Foundation had provided support to countless families. More importantly, the cultural shift she had helped ignite was evident in the way communities prioritize safety, empathy, and connection. Taylor herself remained deeply committed to the cause, but she often deflected credit, emphasizing the collective effort behind the movement. "This isn't about me," she said in an interview marking the anniversary. "It's about all of us coming together to make the world a better place for our children." Her humility, however, didn't diminish the profound influence she had wielded. Fans, families, and advocates around the world saw her as a beacon of hope, someone who had used her fame and resources to create lasting change. For Taylor, the journey wasn't about accolades or recognition. It was about honoring the moment she had shared with a scared little boy in an airport, and ensuring that no child would ever feel that lost again. As Taylor looked to the future, she continued to dream big. She envisioned a world where every family had access to the resources they needed to thrive, where public spaces were designed with safety and inclusivity in mind, and where acts of kindness were the norm rather than the exception. Through her music, her foundation, and her unwavering commitment to making a difference, Taylor Swift had proven that one moment of compassion could spark a movement that changed lives, and that the power to create a better world was within everyone's reach. Years later, Taylor Swift stood in the middle of a crowded terminal at a major international airport, her face lit by the glow of a digital kiosk bearing the familiar logo of the Safe Haven network. She was there to inaugurate the 1,000th Safe Haven location, a milestone that symbolized how far the movement had come since that fateful day she helped Elliot. The terminal bustled with the usual frenetic energy of travelers hurrying to catch flights, but the addition of a dedicated Safe Haven area provided a calm oasis in the chaos. The ceremony was intimate but significant. Local children who had benefited from the program gathered with their families to thank Taylor in person. Among them was a young boy who had been separated from his parents during a holiday rush just months earlier. His reunion with his family had been facilitated by the very network Taylor had championed, and as he presented her with a small bouquet of flowers, she couldn't help but feel overwhelmed by the impact of what had started as a simple act of kindness. After the ceremony, Taylor took a quiet moment to reflect, walking through the terminal unaccompanied, her thoughts drifting back to Elliot and his mother. The sense of responsibility she had felt that day had only deepened over the years. She had not only created tools and systems to reunite lost children with their families, but also fostered a cultural shift, one that prioritized care and community in public spaces. What struck her now, as she observed families hurrying to their gates, was how the ripple effects of the movement had grown in ways she could never have imagined. Her involvement with child safety had introduced her to a network of passionate advocates, each working tirelessly in their own spheres. Urban planners shared how her initiative had inspired them to rethink public spaces, designing parks and transit hubs with child safety in mind. Educators reported that the safety education programs sponsored by the Haven Foundation were reducing incidents of separation and empowering children to act confidently in emergencies. Meanwhile, the Safe Steps app had undergone multiple upgrades. The latest version included augmented reality to guide children visually back to their parents or the nearest safe haven. Parents praised the app as a game changer, not just for its practicality, but for the peace of mind it brought. With each innovation, Taylor ensured that the underlying mission remained clear: to protect children, strengthen families, and foster a sense of community. The global reach of the movement also extended into previously underserved regions. In remote areas of Africa and South Asia, safe haven tents were set up at festivals and markets, offering not just a place to reunite lost children, but also access to clean water and basic medical care. These efforts underscored the universality of Taylor's message: safety and compassion know no borders. By the time she left the airport that day, Taylor had already begun brainstorming her next steps. She didn't view this milestone as a conclusion, but as a foundation for future progress. Whether through music, advocacy, or innovation, she remained committed to the belief that small acts of kindness, when amplified by a collective effort, could create extraordinary change. For Taylor, the journey was far from over, because the work of building a better, safer world was one that never truly ended. As Taylor stepped outside the terminal into the cool evening air, she paused to watch families greeting one another, their faces lighting up with joy and relief. These everyday moments, once taken for granted, now held a deeper significance for her. She thought of the countless children who had been reunited with their families because of the systems and programs that had grown from a single instinctive act of compassion. What had once been a chance encounter had evolved into a global effort to nurture and protect the most vulnerable among us. Her journey had not been without challenges. Balancing her demanding music career with the time and energy required to lead such an impactful initiative was no small feat. Yet the letters from families, the smiles of children she met, and the transformative stories she heard constantly reignited her determination. This work was no longer just a mission, it was a calling. Taylor walked toward her car, the sky above painted in hues of twilight. She felt a profound sense of gratitude, not for the accolades or recognition, but for the chance to make a real difference in people's lives. With every step forward, she remained steadfast in her belief that even the smallest acts of kindness could spark ripples of change across the world. If you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Also, leave your comments below and tell us, what are your thoughts on Taylor Swift helping a lost child at the airport? We want to hear from you. Thank you for watching and see you next time.